Hey, I'm going to give you some feedback on your project. When there's a lot to say, it's just easier for me to record it so I can actually show you what I'm talking about. I think one of the issues that you had, and it's hard to kind of tell because when your logo gets really small, it looks like you lose some of the detail, especially when I'm zoomed out like to this level. It looks like there's just kind of like a big white space here, so you can't really make out the shape of the logo. So I wanted to make sure that in your preferences you had it set correctly so that when you scale the logo, it will also scale all the effects that you have with it. So really quick, just go to Illustrator, Preferences, General, and then make sure that you have checked Scale, Stroke, and Effects. If you don't have that checked, then what happens is if you have an object with a stroke or any other effects on it, when you scale it down, the stroke is going to stay the same size. So your stroke will be huge when you scale something down. So just make sure that you do have that turned on so that you can scale things properly. So that would be my first comment is your logo mockups look good. I didn't mean to hesitate there. They look good. With the placement of this, I would be a little bit more precise. It would be a little bit smaller on the shirt. And also just remember when you're showing off the logo to clients, since this is where you're kind of selling them the logo and showing the examples. So you'd want to have it a little bit bigger so that they don't have to view it kind of, like that where they can barely see the logo. So I would like to see the logo examples a little bit larger just so I can see the logo in use better. With the hat, it might have been nice to have the actual name of the company maybe up here or something instead of just the logo, the symbol by itself. With this part here, I like the idea of having kind of these little cracks in the stone behind it. I think that that works really well, but the actual execution of it could have been better. For example, here it's kind of like just kind of bleeding off the edge there, and like parts of it are overlapping. It just kind of looks, I like the idea, but it looks a little bit messy. Like these aren't even meeting up with each other, and that's kind of running over, and it looks like you sort of kind of played with, or maybe not. I was saying that you played with the line variation, but you didn't, I guess. So yeah, if you had played with the line variation, actually made it look a little bit more realistic, I think it would have looked awesome. So, good idea, just push it a little bit further. With the overlap here, with the G on the N, it actually kind of reads as, I don't know, like, oh yeah, you do have it different. Here it reads as like store giants, but then here you did something totally different. So that's another really, really big deal, is you want to make sure that you're consistent with how you use the logo. If you have the type one way in the logo, then you don't want to just change it up every time you use it, because then it's going to affect the equity of the logo, and it's really going to screw up your branding for the company if just every time you use it, you just kind of like randomly throw the logo on there and the type, and oh, as long as I have the basic things on there, I'll just put them wherever. You really want to be consistent with how you use it. So you don't want this to be different than how you use it here and different than how you use it, elsewhere. So that would be a big thing. I like the earth tones that you have going on, but another big issue is you want to be cohesive. So you have kind of like the earthy brown tone here, but then you have completely different colors here. So I'll have to check your style guide and see what colors you use there. But whatever colors you pick for your style guide, you want to stick with those. So again, don't just randomly, every time you do a design, pick something different. So whatever colors you chose as your actual colors, stick with those. And the more refined you are, then the better message you're going to get out and the more consistent it's going to be. So the easier you're going to be able to build up your brand. So that's another big thing. The type over here, don't ever stretch out type. It looks like you kind of like stretched it out vertically or whatever. So don't do that. That's a very, very bad thing to do in design. So from this point on, don't ever do that again. Can't tell if you did it down here. It looks a little bit taller than it should be, but this is a little bit more evident. With the logo, I like the details inside of it because I'm not sure if this silhouette is refined enough that it actually comes across as being the shape of this face. So without those little details in it like you have here, if you just have one solid color white, I'm not sure if it really comes across as that. And yet again, you have it faced a different direction, so that's also really, really bad. So once you have it a certain thing, keep it consistent, and so he should be faced the other way. So just decide on how you want it, keep it that way, don't change it up every time that you do something different. And those would be my main comments. The type is a little bit hard, sorry, hard to read, like down here when you have the black on top of the rocks. Yeah, you can barely even read that, especially when it's on top of the tree. And you have the tangents here with this touching the T there. Let's see, do you have it that way elsewhere? Yeah, you do. So you'd want to pull that away from the type and a bunch of little things. So, I mean, overall you did okay, but those are some major things that you have to watch out for is your consistency, and you just kind of did things randomly. So the logo itself, by itself, looks good. But then when you put it into use, you ran into some major no-nos that I want to make sure that you never do again. So, that's it. Slide. That wasn't it. So, I don't know what happened down here, but please make sure that you do spell checking. Not only are you going to lose points for it in my class, you're going to lose points for it in every single class you did. And if this was an actual client job, I would, yeah. Because if you look at how you spelled available is spelled wrong, where fine apparel is spelled wrong. So that's 2 words within one sentence that you did not spell check. So if in doubt at all, or even if you know how to spell things, just make sure that you spell check everything before you send it to a client, because little things like that, and they are not going to want to work with you again, because if you screw up on one little thing like spelling, then they're going to question what else you might have screwed up on that they're not going to see because they're not the designers. So even though you say, you know, I'm just a designer, yes, you do have to edit your own work too. So you are a designer and an editor, whether, you know, you like spelling or not. So just always watch out for that.